Good morning, everybody. This is Richard Solomon, WCWP 88.1 FM from Brookville, New York. And today we are live at the Cradle of Aviation Museum in Uniondale, Long Island. It's an incredible museum. And we have a very, very special event. We're honoring, I guess, the first man in space, and which was Yuri Gagarin. And we have a bunch of people here who both organized the event, represent the Russian Federal Republic. And I have a gentleman here who also, with an interpreter, donated a bust of the famous gentleman because in terms of human history, it is an incredible milestone to be known as the first man in space. I always thought it was George Jetson, but that's another story. All right, so let's start. So you're the organizer of the event.
One of the organizers of the event.
Okay, what's your name?
My name is Marina Tarantiva. I am the owner of Sunflower Educational Center, and locally, I live here locally, and my business is also in Glen Head.
Oh, okay, so that's right by the station. Yes. So you can come by and visit anytime you like.
Absolutely. This is my favorite museum, and for my kids and for everybody who I know, I strongly recommend to visit this museum. Amazing place to visit.
All right. Now I have somebody here from the New York State Assembly, and that's always good because since most of the laws that you write affect me as a lawyer, got to make sure I get you on the record.
Well, thank you very much, Richard, for inviting me, and to Marina and to Mr. Barama for actually being a reason we're all here. This event is absolutely great, and I'm here not only because I'm just an assemblyman. I happen to be, since we're talking in universe terms today, I'm the first Soviet-born elected official in the United States.
Oh, congratulations!
In the whole Western world, I would say.
Wow!
So that's the reason I'm here, and I happen to live 29 years in Moscow and 25 years in New York, and this is a great event. It's a testament that people are getting together from two countries. And I have to tell you, Richard, if they know how to get together up there in the space, Americans and Russians, we definitely have to know how to get here today and in the future here on Earth. We have to know how to get together, how to get united finally.
Exactly. All right. Now, you're from the consulate's office.
Yes.
What's your name, please?
My name is Andrei Ushmanov. I'm Consul General of Russia in New York. And I'm here, first of all, thanks to Marina Terentьева. And I'm very glad that compatriots from our country not just remember their historical roots and the history of the country and motherland, but I'm also very glad that they're trying to make American public in broader term know this history, so that two peoples of our two countries could get better know each other, thus cooperate and understand and trust each other. And as just Alec just said, our two great peoples inevitably should cooperate not only in space, on the land as well.
Well, look, if it were not for the cooperation of the United States and the Red Army, we wouldn't be here today. So, in fact, I know that in Russia it was called the Great Patriotic War. And I also know from my own history that there were 20 million people who were lost in the defense of the homeland. And the Russian people took on a tremendous personal, economic, and tragic loss for all of us to be where we are today. Yeah. So thank you for all of the service of your countrymen in defending, freedom and honor, back in World War II.
But the history of our two countries has even more antique pages, because the Russian fleet of the old Russian Empire was at the coast of America at the very beginning of the United States. So our history and our cooperation and friendship is even deeper in history.
Wow. And it continues on radio today. All right. So tell us a little bit about today's event.
Today's event is very great. First of all, this museum, Cradle of Aviation Museum, is just fantastic. And I'm very glad that in this museum there will be a bust of Yuri Gagarin, my country fellow man, who was the first in the space. And I just said that I'm proud that he was Russian, but his step is actually far beyond national boundaries. It was the first step of all humanity, a new era for all of us in the history.
Now, when was I don't remember this from my history, but when was he in flight? What was the year?
51 years ago, 12th of April, 1961.
Wow, it's amazing. It's half a century. All right, and this is the gentleman who donated the bus. So what's your name, please?
Меня зовут Руслан, я родом из России, являюсь президентом фонда «Диалог культуры. Единый мир».
Okay, now, obviously I didn't understand any of that.
My name is Ruslan Bayramov, and I'm from Russia, and I'm the founder of the Dialogue of Cultures United World Foundation.
All right. Now, so since you're here, I'd like to give you a little credit. You're our translator. Your name is Oleg?
My name is Oleg, and I'm an interpreter with Ruslan on this event.
All right. Well, I appreciate your translation services. By the way, I could sometimes use you in the courts, so, we'll have to talk.
We'll definitely talk about it after that.
I'll tell you a great story offline. All right, so tell me, how did this all come about? Because an event like today doesn't just all of a sudden happen and people drive up and have an event. It takes planning, coordination, financial resources, publicity, hiring an artist, all these things. Could you really break it down for me?
Как сказал уже генеральный консул, 51 год назад первый человек полетел в космос.
As Mr. Yushmanov, the Consul General of the Russian Federation, has already mentioned, 51 years ago, Yuri Gagarin was the first human to fly into space.
И год назад наш фонд начал новую программу ставить бюсты Гагарина по всему миру.
And a year ago, our foundation has become a new project, and we're installing and unveiling the bust to Yuri Gagarin all around the world.
И первый бюст Гагарина мы поставили в Чикаго, подарили планетарию 19 октября прошлого года.
The first bust to Yuri Gagarin was awarded to Chicago, and it was installed and unveiled in the Adler Planetarium in last year, in 2011.
И также 1,5 года мы занимались согласованием с мэрией Хьюстона, чтобы поставить памятник Гагарину в Хьюстоне, где находится космический центр Америки, где находится НАСА.
And we're also planning to unveil the bust to Yuri Gagarin and American astronaut John Glenn in Houston, and the unveiling will take place in October 2012.
И 2 месяца назад, после очередных переговоров в Хьюстоне, мы приехали сюда, в этот музей, и благодаря Елене и Марине познакомились с заместителем директора Кэрол Нельсон.
And 2 months ago, actually after visiting Houston, we came to New York, and we got acquainted with Yelena Branson, the founder of the Russian Center Foundation, and Marina Terentьева, Sunflower Educational Center, and we were introduced to Ms. Carol Nelson, who's the director of marketing for the Cradle of Aviation Museum, and that's how all projects came available.
Госпожа Кэрол выслушала, посмотрела все наши бумаги, сказала, мне очень нравится, но мне нужно согласовать с директором, дайте мне 1 неделю.
Carol Nelson looked at our project as we introduced it to her and presented it to her, and she said, give me 1 week to coordinate everything with my director.
1 week, wow.
Да. Это очень короткий срок, и через 10 дней нам сказали, что музей готов принять подарок, бюст Гагарину.
Of course, we understood that it's a very short notice, and 10 days later, actually, we had an answer that the museum is ready to accept the Gagarin's bust.
Мы этому очень обрадовались, тут же прислали бюст Гагарина, и все закрутилось, была назначена дата, и сегодня мы присутствовали на открытии этого бюста на этом хорошем мероприятии.
We were positively surprised and very happy to hear that, and we shipped the bust right away. And right now, today, we're here in the Cradle of Aviation Museum, and we're very happy that the event took place.
Я хочу сказать, что Нью-Йорк оправдал свое название как динамичное, сильное место. За 2 месяца сделать такое мероприятие возможно, наверное, только в Нью-Йорке.
And I would love to stress that New York has proved its proud name of the very active city, and I think New York is the only place in the world where this will be available to organize the event in probably like 2 weeks or less than 2 months.
Но я хочу сказать, что в Хьюстоне тоже все хорошо. 21 июня мы заложили камень, и 12 октября открываем памятник Гагарину и Джону Гленну.
But I would also love to add that Houston is also doing great, and we took part in the first stone ceremony on the 21st of July in Houston. 21st of June in Houston, and we'll be unveiling the actual bust in October this year.
So a question, who is the artist who actually created the sculpture?
Алексей Леонов очень светлый человек, который делает многие скульптуры. Ему 30 лет, он делает скульптуры, памятники, и мы вместе дарим их по миру.
The name of the artist is Alexei Leonov. He's a very young and promising artist from Russia. He's only 30 years old, and we work together on the sculptures and busts that we install the world over.
How was he selected from all the vast talent out there to be the guy?
Раньше было много разных скульпторов, но у нас очень много общего. На уровне ценностей нам не нужно друг с другом конкурировать. Мы друг друга понимаем сразу, и форма полностью соответствует нашему заданию и сути и человека, и проекта.
When we met with him for the first time, we understood each other from half of the word, and we share same interests and same ideas, and that's how we got to work together and to implement all these projects that we're working on right now.
What was your personal interest in getting this done? Was this one of your heroes, or?
Мы строим проект «Этномир», который находится на родине Циолковского, где был задуман космос 100 лет назад. И мы считаем, что человечество должно помнить о том, что всего 50 лет назад первый человек взлетел в космос.
I would love to stress the fact that one of our projects is the Ethnomir project, and we're creating this world in miniature in Borovsk, which is the city situated south of Moscow, and that was the motherland of the founder of cosmonautics and Russian aviation, Mr. Tsiolkovsky, and that's how we got into the idea of Yuri Gagarin and creating the bust for him.
Do you have any future space-related projects in mind?
У нас их очень много.
We have a lot of projects.
Да. И сейчас мы проектируем летающую тарелку, которая вместо аватара будет лететь на другие планеты не ради анаптаниума, а ради блага и добра, как в фильме «Аватар» у Кэмерона.
We're actually building the UFO right now that will, like in the Avatar movie, will fly to another planet and to promote friendship and cooperation there.
Do you need any reporters?
Мы также...
I could lose weight.
Мне тоже. Да. Мы также возле Боровска готовим площадку для будущего позитивного и доброго прилета инопланетян, поэтому надеемся, что все у нас получится.
Also near our place, which I mentioned before, Ethnomir project, we're actually working on the area where we can welcome the aliens in the future. So we're working on that.
Well, what kind of welcome center will you have? Will there be food and music?
Там еда и музыка.
Она уже там есть всегда.
It actually is there already.
Oh, is it really?
У нас проходит очень много музыкальных фестивалей каждую неделю, почти каждую неделю, каждый месяц.
We're holding a lot of musical and cultural festivals each month, almost each week.
Wow.
Все уже готово. Ждем.
Everything is ready and we're waiting for you.
All right. Well, I know that at some point in space history, we put into space a vehicle, maybe even the Apollo mission, where they had like a gold disc and it had sounds of Earth on it, including, I think, like hello in almost every language. So is this sort of like the follow-up to that?
Это было в 1977 году, «Пионер» взлетел, и там было на-диске записаны и песни, и народы, например, Советский Союз отсылал туда грузинские напевы, да.
Actually, I know this project well. It was back in 1977, and the disc was called Pioneer, and the Soviet Union sent their Georgian songs, traditional Georgian songs, up in the space.
В том числе они были там. Да, и этот «Пионер» сейчас летит в космос и отдаляется от Земли, он уже давно улетел с Солнечной системы.
Well, the Pioneer is still up in the space, and it actually travels in the vast spaces of our universe, and it left this solar system already.
Wow. So you never know. We may get a long-distance phone call.
Да, может быть.
Well, probably.
Да.
So if you meet any aliens, what would be the first thing you say to them?
Я скажу, что будьте осторожны на планете Земля. Здесь не все пока добрые, мы еще растем, но надеемся, что у нас все будет хорошо.
My first words would be, you have to be careful on the planet Earth. not all humans are actually kind at the time being. So we're growing in this direction, but we're sure that we will make the warm and welcome to you.
I tell them about how the traffic is. Take forever. Spaceship's faster.
Слава Богу, они летают, они ездят по земле, поэтому у них нет проблем с пробками.
Thanks God they have their own spacecraft, so they don't have traffic problems.
So I have to ask you all of this because it's really important. When you were growing up, as I was, I remember very, very clearly April 1969. I saw Neil Armstrong land on the moon. But what was it like, either for yourself as a little person, or maybe in your household, when Yuri was in space and it was announced over, I guess, the local media or national media? What was going on, and what was the excitement, and how did it change your perspective about the future? So I'll go straight around. So let's go with you first.
Я, к сожалению, только родился, когда Армстронг полетел на Луну. Я, наверное, выгляжу более старым, в 1969 году. Поэтому я не помню, когда Гагарин летал на Луну. Но я всегда смотрел в свои 70-е годы, когда наши космонавты были на орбите. В советском телевидении это была гордость. Каждый вечер все смотрели. И вести с орбиты всегда были очень сильными, очень эмоциональными. Вся страна гордилась ими.
Sorry to say, but I don't remember the actual moment where both Yuri Gagarin...
Your parents, like growing up? Oh, you're listening to WCWP 88.1 FM, Brookville, New York.
Да, вся страна гордилась, и до сих пор многие гордятся. И наша задача напомнить об этом, что это была гордость и страны, и всего мира.
Right, the whole country was really cordially proud of the event, and it's our goal and our task right now to remind that that event belonged not only to former Soviet Union, but to the world itself.
Каждый третий школьник мечтал быть космонавтом.
And back in Russia in that time, every third pupil in all the schools, they actually wanted to be a cosmonaut.
Right. You never know. Let me continue. When you were either as a child or from your parents or yourself, do you remember that moment being reported?
Actually, I was almost 3 years old in 1961, so I don't remember exactly the moment. But I remember quite well that after every launch of Soviet cosmonaut to space and successful return to the Earth, it was actually a big holiday and joy for all the Soviet peoples. And from those years, I remember this mood of holiday and hope for a bright future. So. Space flights are similar to me with a bright future since childhood.
I mean, as I recall, in the Russian space program, didn't the Russians land on Earth as opposed to the sea, which was the Apollo idea was to take the lunar module, they would have the command module, and it kind of coming upside down, coming backwards with the heat shield, and then splash into the ocean. But the Russian people decided they were going to land on Earth. Yeah. Was that harder or easier? I mean, it was a different approach, but it's definitely a really interesting concept. Because that's probably led to what the space shuttle does now.
Unfortunately, I'm not a technical expert, but as I understand, to land a spacecraft is harder than to bring him back to the water. But traditionally, historically, the Soviet and then Russian science worked on this landing, actually, systems. And now we have a very reliable system that provides all the security for astronauts. Yeah.
Well, it's really amazing. Everybody has a cell phone, right? And yet I'm sure the technology in your cell phone today is more powerful than the computing power that they had 51 years ago. So that's a tremendous, mind-blowing concept to think about. Let me continue. How old were you when the first man in space was advertised in the media?
Richard, I was 3 years old, and what I remember is an incredible sense of pride. But let me bring your listeners, you and myself and all the people around us to these days. For a couple of days, I've been talking to some of my members of my constituents who wouldn't speak Russian, and they would say, well, the older people, the Gagarin's flight, well, we were very afraid.
Why?
They were very afraid.
Why?
Well, because of the Russian space program. God knows what the Russian space program would be emerging, right? Now, when I'm asking them, but what do you think about the cooperation in space today? They're saying, oh, it's wonderful. We know that the Russian cosmonauts and American astronauts, they together in space. This is a great testament that some ideas in our minds that would scare us would actually emerge in something very good and positive. Cooperation is tremendous now between the American space industry and the Russian Federation space industry. This is a great testament that we might, as a people, we might be even afraid of something that's happening on the other side of the globe. But eventually it can emerge in something very good. So this industry is a great testament that these two nations, these two countries, these two cultures can be very much together, very much united and cooperate. And if people in the space are cooperating to the degree that they're actually living as one family for 6 months, how about other people in our two countries? Just try to understand each other. I've been living in Moscow for 29 years, in New York for 25. Richard, I got to tell you, the people from Russia and United States, they're so similar. They just don't know it yet. I just said it in my remarks. They just don't know it yet. They're very much different from the Europeans, and they're so similar to each other. It just, I guess, the history of the Cold War and things like being afraid in 1996 of the first flight of a Soviet cosmonaut in space to space. That's something that I guess has been scaring us for some years. But now we should get together. We should understand the cooperation between two countries is one of the main results and main goals that we have to achieve. Because in today's world, with all the I wouldn't even call them people. In some countries, so whose idea just to kill everybody else, just because of that we have to get together in space and here on Earth.
Well, one of the great things about space, and I'll just throw this out there, is all of the technology that it's set forth into just consumer items. You know, we wouldn't be where we are with all the innovations that were created for space. And that's all been great for the economy. And I know that there's a future idea of harvesting the minerals in space for our consumption, and space travel will be a big-time industry. I'm sure that I would love to if I could live long enough. I don't have the millions of dollars yet to get a free ride on one of these, flights like Richard Branson, one of these other people who've been able to. Like I said, I can lose weight if necessary.
You would definitely use that type of transportation to go to Brooklyn, right? Because of traffic.
Exactly. What do you see as far as a future? I know that I remember Apollo-Soyuz very, very well. In fact, I believe there's an exhibit in the National Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C. of Apollo-Soyuz modules. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure we have the International Space Station. And I'm sure we have a lot of other things that are, coming up. Is there anything you could talk about, or just, give an opinion on?
My opinion that the future is absolutely clear. First, because Russia and the United States are now cooperating in space, in this sphere, in this industry, if you want to. From one hand. From other hand, new countries appears who have space technology and who are visiting space. So inevitably, it will become a truly international cooperation. It's inevitable.
If you had the chance to get a ride on a rocket ship and go, would you take it?
Of course, I would.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, maybe we could leave from Brooklyn together.
Wow, I would definitely go for it, Richard. And thank you very much for having us on the radio. I got to tell you that if cosmonauts and astronauts are usually the best people in the society. The selection process is so incredibly based on all the studies and science. We have the best people in this society living together for 6 months. From the Russian society and American society together in space for 6 months, it's a great example, I think.
Has anyone? Oh, you're a cosmonaut? Oh, then come on down. That's all right.
Talking about the greatest people in the society.
I didn't get to meet you yet. All right, my name is Richard Solomon. Nice to meet you.
Mikhail.
All right, cool, Mikhail. You want to just grab a seat?
Do you want me to sit here?
Yeah, this is all informal, so okay.
Don't ask me any political.
I don't have any political. It's all fun. It's all fun. It's all good. All right. So when were you in space?
When? Actually,
years?
I flew twice.
Right.
The first flight was expedition number 3.
Okay. What year was that?
It was 2001.
Wow.
And then expedition number 14, which happened in 2006 and 2007,
Right.
In the middle.
All right. Were you at the International Space Station?
Yes.
All right. What's it like up there?
It's huge.
Is it? I could go for an hour now. So, how's the food?
From the technical point of view, let me give you kind of explanation. Try to imagine a submarine.
Okay, I've been on submarines. Yes.
Yes, so it's easier. And a regular submarine has about 100 or 150 people on board as a crew.
Right.
And each of them has his specific duty. For instance, the captain doesn't care what the cook is using to cut vegetables.
Actually, he should, but that's another story.
and how the cook is sharpening his knife. But we are just 3 of us on the station.
That's it? Just 3?
Just 3. That time. Now we have 6 people on board.
That's still not a lot to run a whole show.
Wow. But we
need less food, though.
That's
exactly,
true.
and we need to know all the details, everything.
So and you have to probably make all the emergency repairs and so you have to do all the cooking, the planning, the space mission,
our mission is about 6 or 7 months long, so we cannot even predict all the details what we will face during our flight.
Now, so how do you just for the people who don't know, how do you get?
We prepare it for in general.
All right, so let me ask you this: for the people who don't know, because I love space, but even I don't know all the details. How do you get up there, and then how are you supplied? How are you transported to the space station, and how is the space station supplied during those 6 months?
There is a huge, very dangerous canister of fuel.
Right.
And the engine, jet engine,
yeah,
is almost the same what explosion is.
Right.
And we take this huge canister, seat, explode, and fly.
Sit right on the top of it.
Yes.
Right. So you like danger.
But speaking seriously, it isn't too much dangerous because of good technology.
Right, but you have to, it's still untested to some extent because you're out there.
It produces so awful noise
Yeah.
that probably people can't stay around closer than half a mile.
Wow. So when you're up there, how often is there a resupply? Or do you bring everything with you for the 6 months?
No, it's impossible.
Right.
We have cargo vehicles and supply plan actually. Speaking seriously, it isn't our duty to take care about all the towels, napkin, food.
Right. What do you do with all the garbage? Where's that go? It's a serious question. Seriously, like when you finished eating an apple and you got the cord, you can't just toss it out the window.
Yes. Usually we pack it into specially designed bags,
right,
and stow to the cargo vehicle.
And does that go back to the Earth, or does it go into space?
It goes to Earth.
Oh, it does? Mm-hmm. Oh, interesting.
And during re-entry, everything is
burned up?
Burnt and
incinerated.
Disappears.
Okay. So now I know that for long periods of time, weightlessness is a problem. Mm-hmm. Do you have like little bicycles and things like that to keep your muscle tone?
Absolutely. It is necessary and there is a requirement to have special exercising procedure on board every day. And usually it takes about 2-3 hours every day.
Every day to exercise.
To have our bones in some certain conditions and muscles and blood distribution. So we need.
So here's a question now. You know how when you're on a boat and then after being on a boat for a long period of time, you step on a dock, and you sort of feel like you're still in the boat moving around. When you get off that spaceship and you're on good old Earth, what does it feel like? Is there a readjustment?
Very often it depends on some personal specifics. Some people go through it very easily. For example, me, I never never had any strange feelings with zero-G, so-called zero-G environment. But some people feel a little bit worse, and sometimes it takes 2, 3, 4 days to go through it. It depends on personal vestibular specifics.
All right, now I know you must have had
I might say that this pressure might be even depends on some other pressures in your life. Let's say you're coming back to Earth and the pressure from your wife is bigger than the pressure from the gravity.
Exactly. Now, I know that I don't want to ask you about this, there must be just enormous training, but with all the training you have, what was like a big surprise for you actually being in space? Was there something that was sort of like, wow, or something that just, caught you as being, wow, I didn't really expect it to be like this? Was there something like that? Was it like weightlessness?
Yes, definitely. And this is a very simple thing. Image of our Earth.
Ah.
It looks wonderful. And I can say for sure that this is the most preferable thing to do, to spend time for all the people who flew to space. And you can do it all the time. And every moment you'll see something new, something unusual, something unique. And you can do it.
Wow.
You cannot get tired from it.
Did you bring a camera and take a lot of pictures
Absolutely,
yourself?
Yes.
Yeah, you must have a great personal photo collection.
See, we have pretty good video and photo sets on board, different lenses, different cameras, and we are well prepared for it. And I can say, I even can say as a secret that I had a personal photo exhibition in Moscow.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's awesome.
So I am an artist.
Wow. So what is the food like in space?
Almost.
Yeah, I mean, you're not making eggs on the burner.
Almost the same. It's canned and dry food.
Right. So is it mostly
sublimated?
Is it mostly things that you just hydrate?
Hydrate or heat. Cans could be heated and.
What was your favorite meal in space?
Okay.
I ask all the tough questions.
No. I can say that on the can, it's fish. But can has a label which says it's perch pike.
Okay.
In tomato sauce.
Okay.
But perch pike, as far as I know, doesn't exist.
Okay.
It should be either perch or pike. But
maybe it's a little bit of both.
The label says it's perch pike.
How long does it take for communication from Earth to get up to the space station?
Communication? Do you mean
the time delay?
Voice?
Yeah, in other words, if I call you from right here at the Cradle of Aviation and you're flying up there, and I say, Micha, it's Rich, how are you? Can we do an interview? How long does it actually take for the signal to get up? And is communication...
There's a delay, but the delay the reason of delay isn't distance. It's reason is conversion from voice to analog to digital and back to analog and to voice devices.
Does it take?
It's about half a second approximately.
Oh, that's nothing. Oh, so does it feel like when you're talking to ground command that it's no different than just talking like on a regular phone?
Similar to iPhone, IP phone.
Okay. Oh, wow.
You sometimes also can feel some delay in communication when you are talking IP phone.
When you were in space, did you have email?
Yes.
And did you email every day?
Almost every day.
Wow, that's
almost every day. But see, in usual practice, we don't have enough free time, and we usually have to make decision what is better, or in other words, to set priorities. What is more important for this moment now? Maybe it's better to go to sleep.
Okay. So let's go through a typical day in space. All right. Do you wake up, or is it like on TV where somebody from ground control wakes you up? It's not like this like the sun rising.
I have said that we don't have any shifts or duties. We all go to the bed simultaneously and wake up at the same time, approximately at the same time. And for this period, when the crew is sleeping, we close all the windows so that sun didn't disturb.
Okay. Well, yeah. Just like Earth.
we create darkness.
Knocking on the door or something.
Yeah, when does the FedEx guy come?
There is a special person whose duty, and usually it's a flight engineer on the Russian segment, whose the very first function or duty is to switch on the water heater. And usually he does it still staying in the sleeping bag, opening just one eye, and do it like this automatically.
It sounds like me with the one eye in the morning.
Yes. And it means that the crew still has about 20 minutes to sleep.
Okay. Well, you got to get every minute you can.
Hot water is ready, and it's time for breakfast, for coffee, for morning exercise, for to start working.
Okay. So after breakfast, what happens next?
Next is working activity according the daily plan. We have
Showering. How do you shower?
Yeah.
With that water.
Well, first of all, how do you shower in weightless space? Is it like a sponge bath?
It's a very simple answer. No way to shower. We don't have.
Dust, no.
We have no
No
equipment.
dark, right? I mean, there is nothing, I guess, but body's producing something anyway. I mean, sorry for asking.
No, it's a,
You know, but this is, Mikhail, I mean, body's producing some stuff that you will have to-
Nominally, for this purpose, we use so-called wipe napkin or towels.
I see.
I use that on my little daughter. Yeah, little wet
to
naps.
clean our body and so on. But since you say that our body produced something, our brain also produced something.
Hopefully.
And the very interesting things that it is producing is ideas. After some time of experimenting and trying different and thinking, of course, we took an old sphere, metal sphere, what was tank from previously used equipment, drilled a hole, installed, holes, set valve, attached pump from another side, and created shower, but illegally.
Well, we'll edit that. I am told I have to wrap things up, so what I'll do is I'll try to continue this on an ad hoc basis.
So
But
please don't tell.
I won't tell anybody. Your secret's safe with me and all the listeners.
Certification we don't have.
Difficult not to tell anybody, but we'll try.
I'll do my best. Anyway, I truly appreciate the honor to be with all of you and for your time with me, and for both the generosity as a benefactor, Oleg, our translator, Mikhail, our cosmonaut, our New York State Assemblyman, our consulate from Russia, and all the attendees. I have a live studio audience. It's incredible. So, and if you ever need somebody to go to space with you, just let me know. I'm available.
You just want to go on a space diet for 6 months?
I'll do
what I'm
it.
thinking.
I'll do it. Whatever it takes. It'll be. See,
I'm so sorry, and this is the Cradle of Aviation.
oh, I know. Carol Nelson. Yes.
But what I wanted to say is, all these,
Well,